Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to you for joining me once again on my channel, but it's also like a little welcome back to me because I have just come back from Egypt and I'm sitting down in front of my camera again, and I'm really excited about it because even though I have only taken like 1.5 weeks off of like filming at least like book content like this, I did film in Egypt as well, and I have tons of footage and I want to create like a little travel vlog kind of situation, but it's going to take me quite some time to go through all of that footage and edit it up nicely. So I will need some more time to edit that video, so I want to create some other content that I can post pretty soon so that there's just like something out for you guys. So yeah, it feels really good to be back right here with you guys and to talk about books, and that's what we're going to do today. I think today's video is actually going to be pretty short because there's really just one book I want to talk about, but I have this kind of like fun idea of creating, will it be another series per se on my channel? I'm not sure yet, but to dedicate certain videos to some of my favorite book YouTubers and their favorite books, and I'm going to be reading them and compare my taste, share my opinion on that certain book or whatever it may be. Now, this is not really the first video of this kind. I have picked up a book. I mean, of course, I have picked up tons of books because my favorite book YouTubers kept recommending them and they sounded interested to me, but I have also once before done a video like this. It is this video right here where the book Leroux and Carrie Can Read inspired me to read the Gilded Wolf series, so you can check out this video if you're interested in my thoughts on the first part of that series. But today's video is inspired or dedicated to Emmy Reads. I think that's her actual YouTube handle. I'm very certain that all of you are aware of who she is. She is for sure one of the biggest book YouTubers on this platform and also one of my favorites, duh. If you have watched Emmy's channel for quite some time, you are well aware of her love for this little book right here, and that is The Phantom of the Opera. She used to have, I don't know if she still has a spot in her vast bookshelf collection where there's like an entire shelf just dedicated to this book because she has so many different versions of it because it is one of her favorite works of all time. And also, rather recently, Emmy uploaded another video dedicated to her favorite books of all time, and I believe this was even like the first book she mentioned. So it is rather safe to say, I believe, that Phantom of the Opera is one of her favorite books of all times, if not even her favorite book of all time. She even wrote a foreword for like a certain edition of the book for like it was something like VR thingy. It looked pretty cool, and it's just crazy to me, like, damn, she wrote a foreword for a book. That's pretty cool. I don't know. So, okay, here we go. Via Emmy's channel, I had heard about or like heard her talk about, or like I just saw the Phantom of the Opera in the background of her videos a ton of times, right? But I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what this book was about. I didn't even know the genre of the book, to be really honest. I know it's also a famous, is it a theater play or is it an opera? I mean, it would make sense if it's an opera, if you know what I'm saying. But I believe it's also a pretty famous theater play. My gosh, I really actually do not know anything about this. So I picked this up, I believe already like in November or something. I picked it up because Emmy continuously talking about it inspired me to read it as well. But then I had it sitting on my TBR shelf for like the longest time because I was never like in the mood to read it, because even though I did not know what it was about or even like the genre of the book, I had these inhibitions or like prejudices against the book because I know it's a classic, and I was always like, I don't know, I don't feel like picking up a random classic that I don't know anything about. I would rather read books X, Y, and Z, right? So it took me quite some time to finally pick this up, but then I was running out of books on my TBR shelf, and this was one of the few ones that was still left. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it now, whatever. And guess what? I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally did pick it up, even though it took me such a long amount of time. So yeah, here we go. These are my thoughts about this book. Now, maybe you also have like no idea what this is about. Gosh, it's kind of hard to describe the genre of this book. It's definitely mixed, I would say. It is part mystery, also part murder mystery, if you want to go that far. It involves a romance for sure, and like love triangles, and there are also elements there. It's not per se a fantasy novel or anything like that. Everything in here is like 100% like real life, but at times you ask yourself, or at least I ask myself reading this, wait, does this book include some like fantasy, mythical, whatever elements, because things were described in a way that was like, wait, that's not part of our real life world. What are they talking about? Are they all hallucinating or whatever? Or is this a part of the world that this is taking place in? But no, it is actually set in the real life world of the, oh my god, early 20th century. My gosh, I do actually, should I have done some more research before I turned on the camera? Yes, I suppose so. Okay, but it was first published in 1909, and I believe it's also supposed to be taking place somewhere around that time. So yeah, it involves all of these different genres or like storylines. So I feel like there's kind of like something for everyone in there, or like maybe not for everyone, but there are different parts and different aspects of the story being told here, that whether you are more into romance, there's something in here for you. If you like your mysteries, murder mysteries such as me, you're also having a good time with this. Overall, what I also really enjoyed about this book, it is written in a style that is very, like 100% easy to understand, perfectly intelligible, because of course it's not true that like all classics out there are hard to read, but we tend to have this prejudice against classics that they are going to be less fun to read, less entertaining, harder to understand because they use like old language and we don't understand that so well anymore. But there are no problems with this in this work. At least I felt that way. So as you can imagine, this book or the story takes place at the opera in Paris, and it is about the Phantom of the Opera, who is a man called Eric. And in the beginning, maybe you aren't so sure, is this a real person or is it actually a ghost? Because people believe him to be a ghost. They believe supernatural things to be happening, but then new managers take over the opera, and they of course think that everyone is messing with them because they don't believe in any supernatural creations such as ghosts, phantoms, whatever you want to call it. And also the reader, or was it just like my reading of the book? I didn't know how this was gonna end, but from the beginning at least I thought I knew, like, yes, definitely this phantom, it's a real person. This is not a ghost story or anything like that. It is not, so be aware of that. And basically this book follows the retrospective account of is it like a private detective or whatever, investigating the case of the Phantom of the Opera, because there were some crimes happening, some accidents, murders happening at the opera, and everyone believed the Phantom to be responsible, but some people believe that the Phantom was actually a phantom. The detective, the managers, etc. definitely did not think so. So that's why I don't think he's named, like the unnamed narrator of this book is investigating this case, so to say. And then, as I mentioned, there's also like a love story aspect of this novel, because the Viscount Raoul de la... I forgot his full name. He's in love with one of the singers at the opera house. The singer that also the Phantom himself, called Eric, is in love with. And so there's this love triangle situation there, because the Phantom, Eric, wants her for himself. He also abducts her, and does he like might manipulate her a bit, or like influences her to do whatever he wants her to do, and pressures her into doing things. At the same time, she's actually like she and Raoul, they're actually mutually loving each other, and they want to leave everything behind, go away together, but she feels like she cannot leave Eric the Phantom, even though she's not in love with him, but she feels sorry for him. And also he's threatening her to do all kinds of stuff should she ever leave him. So there's this aspect of the story as well. I thought this was a really quick and fun and enjoyable read. There were some parts in, I think, the middle and towards the ending, some scenes that felt dragged on a bit. There's this part in the story where Raoul and someone else go into like the depths of the world of the opera to chase after Eric, because he has abducted what's her name, Christine? I feel like that's wrong. Oh no, Christine, yay. Once again, blah blah blah. So they chase after him and they enter all these like secret passageways, and like secret passageways within the opera I can still wrap my head around, but then they talk about these layers and entire floors underneath the opera that are like a whole different world. And it was in those passages that it also kind of felt like even fantastical. Things were being talked about, or like this underworld of the opera was described in a way that you felt like, wait, what, this cannot be real? Is this a fantasy story now? Or like, what is even going on? The way some of these levels underneath the opera are being talked about or described, or like there's supposed to be a lake with a house and an island and stuff like that underneath the opera, and I'm like, wait, what? How would that even work? This cannot be. Is this just like about all of them being like lost and confused down there in the cellars and kind of like hallucinating a bit? Is it actually supposed to be a full-on lake and all of that underneath the opera? So like the logistic wise, let's just say that logistic wise, I felt like there were some aspects that I could not fully logically explain the way they're being described in the book. So there are maybe a few confusing passages in the book in that sense, but the rest of the book was perfectly understandable and you knew what was happening, etc. I really enjoyed about this book how, even though of course the Phantom Eric is portrayed as the villain in the story, as he is the one that abducts and also like kind of like mind manipulates this young girl Christine, we also feel for him because he was forced into this role of the outsider that has to hide underneath the opera, has to lead the existence that he does because of his physical appearance, because he is described to be so horrifically ugly, basically, that he cannot lead a normal life. He has to live this hidden life underneath the opera. Though in the end of the book we learn about his earlier life, which is quite interesting. So he has been a victim himself in his earlier life, and of course we feel for him for that, and ultimately he abducts her and all of that because he has fallen in love with her, and he's like all of us looking for love and acquaintanceship, and he feels like he can only get it by like first forcing her to be with him, by abducting her, and then she also kind of plays on him in the end though, and he believes her to like really love him even though he's so horrifically ugly. And so he becomes even more attached and dependent on her. So yeah, the character, the persona of the Phantom of Eric has a lot of layers in the book. He's definitely not just like black and white, the villain or the victim. He's both in one person. So yeah, I really enjoyed this nuanced look onto the villain character within the novel, because of course in no novel or like movie or whatever, the bad character is always just like the bad guy. There are always nuances to a character and like background stories that explain how they became who they are, etc. But maybe not often, but of course it also happens in books or in movies that this background story is not explained, or the villain character is not dived deeper into, but the villain persona is just like there to do the bad thing, to be the antagonist of the hero persona. So that this book offered like this nuanced perspective of Eric was maybe like my favorite part about this. Overall, I thought this was a really quick and easy, small, short, pleasant classic to read. I could definitely recommend this to you if you're looking for an easy to read, nuanced classic that has a little bit of mystery, a little bit of love, a little bit of matter, a little bit of what at least felt like psychedelic moments, because things were just being talked about that felt like they couldn't be part of our real world, but whatever. I maybe cannot claim that this is not also one of my favorite books of all time, but I definitely enjoyed it. So I would like to say thank you, Emmy, for inspiring me to read this. Thank you for shouting it out so much. But yeah, I had a good time reading this. I hope you had a good time watching this video. I'm gonna see you soon in lots of more content. I have a lot of videos idea, and there are like stacks of books behind the camera right now because they are involved in other video ideas that I want to film pretty soon. So lots more videos coming, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.